What's going on, guys? It's Mike and Coach Steve Shepard here at Skill of Strength. Hey, we're running a few minutes late, little technical difficulties here at Skill of Strength, but that's no problem whatsoever. So guys, what we're gonna go over today is we're gonna show you some basic quick and dirty assessments on how to prepare and get ready for the barbell military press. And then we're gonna give you some drills that will help you prepare your body for that, okay? So very, very simple stuff. This is not a tutorial on all the little, tweaks and techniques about the military press, but we're just trying to give you some drills that will potentially help you improve your barbell military press. So, assessment, quick and dirty assessment, guys. Here's what we're gonna look at. So I'm gonna have Steve face that way, okay? So, in this position, guys, the first thing we're looking at quickly is bilateral hip extension. The ability to get the hips through without throwing the lower back under the bus. One of the things we see in any type of lockout position is the hips extend and the lumbar hyperextend. So what we're trying to see here, a quick and dirty assessment. Steve's gonna take his index fingers, he's gonna put it on his ASIS, okay? Now, he's gonna try to push his hips forward and through. Now, when he does that, we wanna make sure that he doesn't increase the curvature of his lumbar spine. The goal here is to get his ASIS forward enough so we can draw a straight line down to the toe. Okay, it's a quick and dirty assessment, but that's a quick way to see whether or not you're gonna be able to do it. So Steve, let's see what you got. Put those hips forward, and again, good, he's pretty there. Guys, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's a biggie, because when we military press, we wanna have active glutes, right? We wanna make sure that we can create total body tension. That 10 degrees or so of hip extension is gonna allow us to press that bar vertical, and our hips are gonna be directly underneath the barbell. So that's the first assessment that we're gonna work on. The second one, Steve, step back just a little bit, is a very, very simple standing shoulder flexion test. Again, we start by leveling the pelvis out, and the goal here is, can we get both arms up? Can the biceps kind of align with the ears without changing anything here in the lumbar spine and the pelvis? Go ahead and press up. Steve's pretty much there. So Steve is a stud, so we're good from there. But guys, again, there's a bazillion different ways you can assess people, but if you can't own those two, you're gonna have a really, really tough time performing the military press. Now, as far as activation drills go, we're gonna show you a couple drills that'll help just zip everything up and help fire everything up to improve your press. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is pull-ups, okay? If you can't do a full pull-up, that's fine, but the goal is to get your lats really firing to create some total body tension, okay? So we're just gonna do, let's do a set of 4 pull-ups. And guys, what we're looking for here is a similar grip that you would use on a barbell military press. So go ahead, Steve. He's gonna come on up and do a nice pull-up, excellent, and then come back down. Now, why is this important? The bottom of the military press is a very similar movement pattern to the top of a pull-up, okay? So the pattern's very, very similar. So we wanna make sure that we have very, very active lats and a nice tight grip at the bottom. Thanks, buddy. So the first thing, guys, is a set or 2 of pull-ups. That's really gonna get the lats active. The second thing that we're gonna focus on here is, we're gonna do, what did we say? No, we're gonna do barbell walkout first. So heavy walkout. Now, we're not gonna unload and load barbells here, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the body acclimated to some sort of load, right? So Steve's gonna get in, almost like he's doing a front squat. Obviously, he's not gonna be in that extended wrist position. The barbell is going to sit kind of on the palm. There's gonna be a little bit of extension in the wrist, but not too much. He's gonna get underneath, he's gonna unrack it. Once he unracks it, he's just gonna create tension. He's gonna squeeze his glutes, he's gonna squeeze his abs, and he's just gonna stay lit up. And he's gonna really try to create about 5 seconds of tension. Now, you can obviously go heavier. We could put on 135, 145, 185. That's fine, but there's 2 ways you can focus on this. One, you can create tension, or 2, you can add a much greater load to force you into tension. For the inexperienced lifter, create more tension purposefully. For the experienced lifter, get under there, load it up. You know how to load, you know how to work with that load, and go from there. So Steve, come on in. And he's just gonna, use his preferred grip. He's gonna get underneath it. Boom. Elbows are gonna be underneath the bar. He's gonna squeeze the glutes, squeeze the belly. Very, very tight lats. He's gonna hang out there for about 5 seconds and walk it in, and then shake it out. Okay, guys, at the very, very bottom of the press, we need a lot of tension. We need to get those lats to the party, okay? Bring everything down, kind of compress that cylinder, and then get ready to go. Next thing we're going to focus on is a tall kneeling press. And this is a little bit of an R&T drill. What we're trying to do here, guys, is in this tall kneeling band press, we're going to actually put the load behind Steve. Now, as Steve presses up, the load is going to try to pull him into extension. Now, without getting too complicated, the more we increase the load overhead, the harder it is to maintain positioning. So if the load's up here, it's really, really hard to maintain this positioning. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to give his body some feedback so he can create tension and he can focus on a solid ribcage position as he presses. So we're going to get Steve over here. The tall kneeling position, guys, is really, really good for this. So Steve's going to get on the mat. Hopefully you guys can see this. So we've got a cook band and it's just loaded at a low anchor. When you anchor this, guys, make sure that you're putting it on something that's not going to move. So he's going to bring his hips through. He's going to squeeze his butt. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to perform just a basic press as he goes overhead while trying to maintain positioning, okay? Now, feel pretty tough up there? And now I want you to actively pull down, like you're doing a pull-up, like you're doing a lat pull down. Again, guys, nice tight glutes. His hips are through. He's going to press up and maintain this. Don't let him get pulled into extension. So that's your tall kneel overhead press. Good, thanks, buddy. And then lastly is we're going to actually do a military press, but we're going to actually use the rack to give us a little bit of feedback and help us with the groove. The way that we're going to do that, we're going to get an empty bar, and Steve's going to get it into the press position, and then he's going to do a scrape press or a rack press where he presses up and he scrapes the rack for the duration, okay? It's going to give him some nice feedback as to the groove of the military press. So he's set up, he's nice and locked in, hips are through. We're going to get nice and tight. He's going to press, and he's going to lock out, and you can still finish. You can bring a little bit forward. See, yeah, there you go. And then come down, and just, again, be active, okay? Be active, and then, again, you're going to press up, a little bit of pressure in, boom, and then slide it back down and through. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Guys, this is a really, really cool way to just get some reps in, right? Now, we've done all of our exercises, right? We've done our pull-ups to get those lats active. We've done our walkouts to really focus on that bottom position. We've done our tall kneel presses to work on anti-extension, and we started working on the actual press groove. Now it's time to put it all together. So Steve's going to walk in, and he's going to do a basic military press, and he's really going to try to feel, again, his abs as he goes and presses overhead, his lats at the bottom position. He's going to cramp his glutes and go from there. Let's see what you got, buddy. Tight, tight, tight. And off you go, boom, and then actively pull on the way back down. How's that feel?
Good.
Let's just do one more, it's fine. Awesome. Very cool. Thanks, buddy. So, guys, one of the biggest mistakes I see in the military press is the hips are back. If the hips are back, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to lock out overhead. Another thing I see is people starting too much in this hollow position, right? The hollow position and the rib cage down position is awesome, don't get me wrong. But when you're going overhead, you are going to have to extend that rib cage a little bit, and you're going to have to extend that thoracic spine. So if you start your barbell military press all hunched over, kind of coiled down, look at the positioning I'm in. I'm going to have to change my whole posture just to get the barbell overhead. So what we want to look at here is glutes through, hips through rather, glutes are tight. We want a nice solid rib cage position, but what we're looking for is good extension of your thoracic spine. So as we come down, you want the chest up. That doesn't give you permission to flare and lose all of the integrity of the pelvis and lumbar spine. But guys, you need to focus on a good extension of the T-spine while maintaining a nice level pelvis and rib cage. It's not the hollow position. Steve, anything to add about that stuff?
Yeah, I think of all the press variations out there, the vertical pressing, I find to be the hardest to get your lats active to help stabilize. And we know that we need to get the lats active to stabilize the shoulder and make it a safer press. And it tends to be way easier in our horizontal pressing with our dumbbell presses and our bench press. So I find it way more necessary to do some lat activation before vertical pressing, especially. Yeah. So that helps me a lot to do the pull-up beforehand to wake up my lats, especially for the eccentric of the military press.
Yeah, and guys, that goes into the whole discussion about like movement prep and specific movement prep, right? If I'm on my bench press day, right, I'm not going to be spending a ton of time like opening up my adductors and stuff. I will warm up my whole body. But what am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on bilateral hip extension so I can get my hips through, extension of the thoracic spine. I want to get those lats active. Maybe I do a little extra posterior cuff work just to get things fired up, right? So if you're going to military press, start off with some drills that will improve and give you a little bit better feedback on the barbell military press. So that's just some basic tips on, you know, pressing in general or prep in general, right? If you're going to squat, you better focus on those ankles and hip mobility, right? You better do some drills that are going to force you to zip up your midsection while, you know, creating mobile hips. Anything else you'd like to add there, Steve?
Yeah, the last thing, when it comes to your foot position with the military press, like Mike said, we want to make sure that your hips get into extension. And one of the things that I feel way more comfortable with is a little bit of external rotation. Obviously, when we're doing that clearing test, maybe not. Yeah. But when we actually military pressing, if you guys feel more comfortable with a little bit of toe out, that makes total sense. I do too.
Yeah, and it really has to do with the shape of your hips and your hip architecture. You know, for me, I actually do feel a little bit better there. It's kind of the same thing with squatting, right? Everyone's going to have a different squat groove, and your military press groove, as far as how your lower body goes, is going to be the same way. So, guys, thank you so much. If you like this video, share away. Have an awesome day and work on those presses.